In this video, we're going to do a little follow-up to our gross profit commission bonus plan and give you some, not all, some of the benefits that it provides us.
You play to win the game. Hello?
So, we want to talk about this, so we had a video kind of explaining the gross profit bonus plan, gross profit commission bonus plan. I think I said that right.
It's a mouthful.
It's a lot. The last video was a lot more about strategy and how we did it, and it's pretty basic, but this will give you an idea. In this video, we want to talk a little bit more about how this has affected our business and the things that we've seen because of this plan. And we've had tremendous growth, and I think a big part of the reason we've had that growth is this pay plan, right? I mean, I think probably employee relations, this pay plan, advertising. All sorts of reasons, core values, really working on culture. And I think this pay plan has helped feed into our culture. So, it's something, and I want to say this about this pay plan. This pay plan is not for, I don't think this is for everyone, right? And I don't think it's for every shop. And I can think of all sorts of scenarios where it doesn't work. And I can think of, if you're a small shop trying to grow, you're an 8-bay facility doing 600,000 and you're trying to grow, yeah, you're gonna have a lot of problems because as that gross profit grows, so does everyone's wages, right? And you still have to pay everybody within the market. So, there's space. Now, here's the deal: you can do a combination of things. You can utilize this as like an actual, just a bonus. So I've thought about those. If you guys ever have questions, reach out to me. Love to talk about that. So, but I think it's easy for me to say, hey, here's all the cool shit we've got from this plan. But I think bringing a guy in who works here. To give you guys a little more feel of what this has done for us. This is Drake, a service advisor here. You guys have seen him in other stuff. He's helping edit the videos, but wonderful spokesman for this. So if I had to ask you, or I'm going to ask you what things, and you've worked in other shops, right? You've worked in flat rate environments. You've worked in commission environments. What are some of the things that you see differently here?
So a huge difference is everyone wanting to work together. Instead of flat rate being in your own island, everyone wants to work together and help each other and teach each other, and share tools and share knowledge, and even the service advisors. We all work together. If I can't find something, I can ask someone else and they can help me find it. Really big team building thing.
Okay, so right, so that you just spoke. I didn't tell him what to say. I said just say something. I think one of the coolest things that I've seen from this pay plan, right, is we're gonna go back to this, right. The business, right, isn't a logo. It's not your right. It's not your brand. It's not right. It's the people that make up right your staff, right. That's your business, right. You're not Coca-Cola. Right.
We've changed our name, a year ago now,
right.
and we've grown.
Yeah, it didn't matter at all that we changed our name, right? The people that work here make up the business, and one of the things that I've watched in other pay plans, and this pay plan is completely the opposite, is you have technicians who live in this flat rate world, and guess what, right? They're me monsters, right? And what do? They will take your business, right to as few employees as possible, and they will dwindle your database down to nothing to make sure they get all of the work that they can. Why? Because that's what that thing encourages. And all not all other plans, but other plans encourage that, right? Some encourage apathy and look.
Don't you dare bring in someone else who can fix a car.
Right? I mean, so this pay plan does exactly the opposite. But you don't, technicians, right? They'll literally push your database right down to zero because they can only play this very, very short-term game, right? Because they don't know when the next car is coming. They know they better get it now, right? So literally, those technicians, they'll just run that database right down to zero.
The gravy work and nothing else.
Right?
And they will complain and be bitter about anything else they get.
So when a customer comes in and wants an oil change, that guy's not going to help you out. Right?
I walked into the shop yesterday, and my master technician, Adam, walked up and said, I'll do it. I don't have anything else to do. Give me that oil change. You don't get that in flat rate. I'd rather sit here and wait for that brake job to come in so that I can do that.
Yeah, so flat rate literally incentivizes guys to do the exact opposite, right? To literally get your two hoists and live in your two hoist island, right? And make sure no one else attacks your island. You don't want anybody in your space, right? Like you're like setting up your navy around your two hoists, right? On your day off, nobody better be touching your hoist or touching your space or doing any of that stuff, right? So it just creates this scenario where, and what I don't want to talk about other plans, right? But this pay plan actually does exactly the opposite with technicians,
Completely.
right? They're like, use my hoist, use my tools, right? I don't care. One of the other things we see is, young techs, right? If I'm a young tech, or I mean, better yet, obviously I'm older than this guy, right?
In most scenarios, I'm a young tech.
Yeah, right. In most scenarios, you're going to be the young tech, right? Yeah. But if he's a young tech and I'm an old tech, right? I'm that 20-year grizzled veteran asshole guy that everybody wants. People in this industry say, oh, we all know those guys, right? But he's that young guy and I'm this old guy, right? In a flat rate world, I hate this motherfucker, right?
Hate me.
I don't like him. Why? You know why? Because I've been doing this 20 years. I've broken my back, and this guy hustles his tail off, right? So I have zero interest in trying to help this guy. He's actually my enemy, right? Our plan, literally 180, right?
Take me on a car and leave me there for 3 days so that you can take all my money.
Right, yeah, that's the other plan, right? In a gross profit sharing plan, right? I'm this 20-year-old grizzled veteran, and this guy's got all the energy. You know what I love? I love that I'll take an oil change, right? I will be happy to take an oil change. And you were telling the story, right? The guy who's taking this oil change in our building is like an L1, L2, L3 ASE master guy who wants to find a brake job to give it to the 25-year-old technician, right? And he's going to make the same amount of money if he does that brake job or the 25-year-old technician does it, right? Exactly. So if I'm this grizzled old guy and this is the young guy, right? I want everything in my power. I'm going to give everything in my power to help him.
Absolutely.
Because it doesn't matter who does the brake job now, right? Because now I have more skills, or I have a different varied skill set. Mm-hmm. I'm going to use my skills to the best, right? For what's best for everybody in the building. And we're going to use his skills for what's best for everybody in the building, right?
Let's as a group succeed.
Right. I mean, that's so important.
Yep.
And right, most shops have just that complete opposite feel. And that's just that's sad. And what ends up happening in our industry is young guys like him, they come in, right? They spend 2 years in this industry. And why do you spend 2 years in this industry as a tech?
Try and learn and then fail and leave.
Yeah, fail and leave, right?
That's it.
Right. So then we say, as an industry, we say we have no technicians.
Yep.
Right. There's no technicians to be had, and then we wonder why. Yep. Well, the reason is there's no path for a young guy, right, to make his ascent, right, to being that guy that is, has experience, has 10 years under his belt, and has been able to, take his lumps as he's growing, right? Very few guys can make it through that. Why? Because A, it sucks, you don't make any money, and then B, whatever money you do make, you're buying tools, so one day, 10 years from now, right, you might be able to make some money in this industry. This pay plan...
If your body lasts that long.
If your body even lasts that long, right? That's a whole different topic. But, this accelerates. This accelerates the young technician's learning curve to the point where, right, you can get them over that hump, right? You can get them past year 3, 4, 5, and now 5 years in, right? You spend your first year doing, oil changes, tires, that type of stuff, right? Now, year 2, you're learning more skills. Year 3, you're doing some diag stuff, right? And by year 5, right, that young technician, right, has skills that he wouldn't have for 10 years,
yep.
Right? Because no one in the building would have let him get anything, right? They would have just starved him out. So that has been huge for us, and these young guys really really developing skills at a pace that no other shop is going to provide that. And oh, by the way, I use that as a tool to recruit, right? We look at young guys and we just say, I am going to accelerate your learning curve, right? And dramatically. And here's the deal, right? And really what I'm going to do is flatten it out, is really what it is, right? The learning curve for most technicians is this steep, right? We're going to make it this steep, right? Yeah, it's still going to be tough, and you're still going to take your lumps, but man, that's a much easier incline to walk up than that. Yep. Right? You're not walking up that. Yep. So, and this is why guys don't make it generally 2 years. So, that's huge. So, another super useful thing from this pay plan is actually right? We get so even on comebacks, right, or like a comeback scenario, or you're trying to convert a lead on the phone. One of the cool things, and you get to do this, right? You can say you've done this is right, and he's shot videos on this about why this is so cool. Is we get to tell people, hey, we do something different, right? And I mean, right there, you kind of you're changing the game for them, right? But I mean, what is the thing you get to tell them?
Well, when you go, let's say you go to a place, flat rate, you know, most people don't really know what flat rate is, but if you go to an average shop, when you walk in the door, you get one service advisor and one technician, and that's it. You know, it doesn't matter how much knowledge is in the building, how good the best technician is, you have that one person working on your car, and that's it. So what's really cool about this pay plan is when you come through my door, you have 4 service advisors and 8 technicians all brainstorming to fix your car if we run into some sort of crazy issue. You know, we'll have cars get handed off and back and forth to go to the right people. You know, I'll sell an oil change, you know, upsell an oil change or something off of an oil change that a lube tech looked up or worked on or found, and send it over to someone else to get it fixed. And you know, whatever the easiest flowing process is to get the car out of the door. It speeds up our speed of service and also provides much better job and more knowledge.
Yeah, I mean, one of the other cool things I see you guys do all the time is they'll literally build quotes for each other, right? The
All the
service
time.
advisors will build
All the
quotes
time.
for each other.
Yeah.
They'll find parts for each other.
Yeah.
They do. They just do whatever it needs, whatever needs to be
Whatever
done
needs to get done.
to get the job done.
Absolutely.
Right. So that's just awesome. You know, and one of the other, you know, another thing that we get to do in this is, right, from a management or an ownership standpoint, right, everyone is focused on one thing, right? And for us, right, we say, you know, we talk a lot about gross profit dollars, but I think the most important thing for us is make customer happy.
Yep.
Right?
And you know, we also do a lot with pay hours too, or tech hours. You know, and they all keep each other accountable, which is really cool.
Yeah.
You know?
So I back to this ownership thing, right? As an owner, you watch guys getting this, like, they can't think like more than like 6 inches in front of their face, right?
Yep.
And that can be terribly frustrating. And one of the things this helps you do is just continue to like push this long-term game, right? You know, everyone wants to live in like week to week, which is fine, right? Part of your job as an owner and a manager is to be able to think longer than that. 3 months out, 6 months out, 3 years out, 5 years out.
Yep.
Right?
Where are
And
we
it's
going?
right, and it says, and here's the beauty: if you, what we've been able to experience, and I think most shops that would do something like this is, right, you're going to have growth, right? And as you have the growth, right, you get to keep saying, let's make the biggest database, guys.
Yep.
Let's make the most people happy and have the biggest database, right? And guess what? We get to sit in meetings, right? So we have weekly meetings, and I would encourage all shop owners to do weekly meetings where we talk about this. We go over what is our gross profit number.
Yep.
And one of the best things in these meetings is we get to collectively be excited about one thing together.
Absolutely.
Right? Think about most shops, right? They sit in a meeting, right? No one gets to collectively be happy about the same thing, right? Because if one tech had a good week, guess what happened?
The other guy did not.
The other guy did not, right? Is that right? Like, I don't want to over dramatize that and all that, but I mean, you guys have all been there. We don't do any of that here, right? One guy might produce 42 hours one week and 97 the next week and 55 the next, and guess what? Right?
Everyone's happy and patting each other on the back.
Exactly,
Yep.
right? And, you know, from a technician standpoint, they don't get punished to have comebacks, right? So you get these technicians, they don't want anything to do with comebacks, right? And why don't they want anything to do with comebacks? Why? Because it like hurts their
Waste of their time.
Exactly. Well, guess what? Now, once we're beating this, like, take care of the customer drum, we got a bunch of guys who are like, let me just handle that.
Yep.
Right? I'll be happy to take that.
Yep.
Makes their lives, all of the service advisors, super easy.
It doesn't matter who did it originally. You know,
Yep.
everyone in this building wants to step up and make it better for the customer, speed up the process,
Yeah.
get it going.
Yep. Another thing that we've noticed, you got a problem with discipline, right? You got guys taking too many smoke breaks. You got guys,
Wasting, brake clean.
Yes,
all
right.
that.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Guys are not going to waste supplies.
Nope.
That's
that right
right?
there.
So one of the really funny things, and it was amazing to me. Last year. They didn't turn the heat on until January.
Yeah.
Right? Because they just didn't want to waste any money. But if we go back to this discipline thing, where if you got a guy who's taking too many smoke breaks, right? You have a policy that says you got 2 smoke breaks before lunch, 2 breaks after lunch, right? You got a guy taking 8. So I'm a manager, I'm an owner, right? So Drake's taking 8 breaks. This is my conversation with Drake, right? Drake, you're taking too many breaks. we need to rein that in. We have a procedure, we have a policy, right? You agreed to that. We need to follow that, right? So if that's a manager, right? What's he thinking, right?
I'm gonna go sneak it.
Right? Yeah, I'm gonna go sneak it, right? Yeah, because I'm the boss, right? And then that's the boss's job, and then like your job is to like get one over on the boss. I mean, I don't want to over dramatize that thing, but like you've been there, right? This is what people do. Whole different animal when you're sitting in a weekly meeting and there's 6 people in the room saying, "Hey, Drake,
Take too many smoke breaks.
you're taking too many breaks, man."
Yeah.
Right? Now it's not the manager. Well, it might be the manager included.
Yep.
Right? But it's also the peers.
Yep.
Right? Because the peers are getting punished very clearly
Yep.
when this guy doesn't hold up his end of the bargain.
Yep.
And it's amazing what ends up happening with these guys, how much they will just regulate their own behavior because they know the power of the group, right? They don't want that peer pressure.
Not at all.
It's super. It's pretty interesting what ends up happening, right? Once that ball starts to roll, and this is a true story. We hired a technician here that was an amazing technician. He was a really damn good technician, and he was here about 3 months, and he essentially produced more work than anybody that was here in those 3 months, right? We hired him. He was producing a ton of work, and the group basically came to me and said, "Got to go, right? Doesn't fit our culture, right? Like, not gonna work." And we end up having to dismiss that employee, but the group will, if you allow them, they will start to speak, and they will
manage themselves for the most part.
100%. It develops leaders, right? The other thing is that guys who've been in this 20, 25, 30 years, right? They have learned some things, right? They have experience, and they want to share that, right? And it's really funny how much you'll see them share that and that desire to share it because they have a space to do that, right? This young guy's not my enemy, and guess what? Now I get to be this young guy's leader, right? And I'm happy to take that role on. And not me per se. I'm saying like some of these older technicians, they don't mind that. And guess what? This guy gets? He wants to show up and work really hard and follow because this guy's willing to lead.
Break my back so that you can, you can slowly
Yeah.
move along and teach.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
I mean, it's actually it's just really, really interesting, and from an ownership perspective, one of the most gratifying things I get to see is these older guys helping these younger guys and really just leading them, right? And I don't exclusively mean with how to fix a car.
Yeah.
I mean in general, right? I mean life in general, right? You'll see some of these older guys just talking to some of these younger guys just about life, right? About marriage and just don't go into debt and don't you dare buy a toolbox.
Don't buy a toolbox.
Yeah, don't buy a toolbox around me. That will make me very unhappy. And I know that stuff's warm and fuzzy and soft. And guess what, owners and managers, be soft, be warm and fuzzy. Yep. Tell people you care about them.
It will change the way they interact with
100%, right?
100%.
Yeah, it's amazing what comes out of you create this pay plan and then guys want to do that. One of the other things we do in these meetings, we'll start all meetings with like praise. So we say, here's our core values, right? Like, where did we see guys, right? Really live up our core values, or what's something else that you want to praise? And guys openly do that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The older guys,
we're on a team,
right?
Yeah.
The older guys openly say, "Thank you so much, young fella, for working so hard."
Yep. Yep.
There's I defy you to find a shop, right?
You would hear that.
Where that's I
Yep.
the standard sentiment would be almost completely the opposite. So anyhow, I don't we've talked about this a lot. It's a super fun thing. Oh, by the way, in the meetings, one of the other really, really fun things, and I said it already, but looking at this, right?
Yep.
Watching this grow.
Oh yeah.
Right? From an ownership management perspective, right? Watching this thing grow, right? Month after month after month after month. We're on month 23 or whatever we are on this plan. And you're just watching this thing grow. That's so much fun. And everyone gets to share in that.
Yes.
Right? Everyone gets to share in that. And it's just, I think I even said that earlier. I don't know. But man, it's just so much fun from an ownership management perspective. Guys, don't be afraid to reach out to me. Please reach out to me, right? We'll post the phone number, make comments, do whatever you need. We'll be posting, and I think I said this in the last video, but we'll be posting our pay plans, why we do this, documentation, some models to that you can run to, check how much guys should be making, profitability, things like that. So we'll be posting all of that. Don't be afraid to reach out, please.